Hello people. This video has been a short while coming and I'm quite happy that I'm finally making it. I think subconsciously part of the reason I am able to make it is because I've already talked about a bit of information that is good background for some of this. Specifically, the first video that's going to be relevant to this video is the concept of densities. This video is quite relevant to this. I obviously don't mind if you don't watch it first, but I'm just telling you. The second two are far more loosely related to this video. The first is false forgiveness, and at the end of the video and the overall message of the video, I think shows a bit of the sixth density process, and it will be relevant to the example that I use in this video. The second one here, this talks a little about how the fourth and fifth density experience life. That one's really not important. If you don't watch it, you probably won't be missing much in relation to this video and understanding it, but it does add a little bit of context. I'm going to go a little into how I perceive the kind of grand energy movement in the society that we're currently experiencing. The macro agenda, in a sense, and that is of angelic sources above us. This is, of course, guesswork. I don't really know what they experience or what they're trying to do. This is just some observations and thoughts. So I'm going to start here. As I've said, I've already talked about the concept of densities, which this graph represents in another video. And I believe that one of the most important energies here, I suppose it's all equally important technically, but something of note is this green one down here, the positive fourth. And this is people on this planet that have moved in a positive direction, but they're only at the level of love. They haven't moved up into wisdom or further higher. The reason society keeps all of these things separate before any grand movement forward is because everybody has to move forward in consciousness in their own little area. So what that means in practice then is that this green box down here represents people that are basically doing loving things without a lot of complexity involved in that. So this would be perhaps Christians of a very simple persuasion. They're not bothered with higher wisdom types of things, which add in a whole lot of complexity to moral quandaries. And they're definitely not into the other side here, the light green and the light blue, which is the negative. They do the best they can. They feel they have the answer usually. They feel that loving is the answer, and they do loving things most of the time. And like I said, these black lines here are the fact that society is separated into their own little sections. So you have the blue with the wisdom types of people and then higher up. And of course there is some movement between the different levels. But in a lot of ways that it matters, people are confined to their own levels in energy terms. But as society moves forward, as things start to shift, these ways of being have to be moved around a little. And I think that dissolving is what's happening right now. So let me give a specific example on this. A month or so ago, there was a woman that apparently came over to Jesus from having been an OnlyFans model. And there was a massive ruckus because a lot of Christians, and these would be the green box here, really wanted to believe without question that this woman had changed and she had to be completely accepted without question at this point. Now, I would consider this the fourth positive perspective, the green here. And importantly, as a few people have said, 10 years ago, no one would have noticed. This wouldn't have been an issue. She would have said the words, and her life would have moved forward, and no one would have asked further questions. It was just that. But it wasn't just that. And the questions became, is she legitimate? There was a lot of scrutiny as to her behaviour. I'm not going to go into whether she is legitimate or not. That's really not the point. But let's just say there was significant evidence. Her detractors had good points. And where does that doubt, that infringement from the MGTOW and Red Pill movements almost come from? Now, I think the MGTOW Red Pill type of stuff is very much the fifth density Blu-ray. MGTOW specifically, wanting to be alone and withdrawing, that's very much a Blu-ray thing. And you add these people in, you add this perspective in, and then you add the sixth in as well. Now, the sixth isn't about simple wisdom, simply withdrawing. The sixth has a larger view of everything. And this was the perspective that was talked about. The entire sociology of the church, the different behaviours of the different people that go to church, the whole thing started to be upended. And this is a symptom of this merging. And I think this is a big part of the lockdown as well, because when you had everybody sitting at home at lockdown, you suddenly started to get a massive rise in the Red Pill and MGTOW movements, because a lot of guys were just sitting at home not doing much, and they went on those YouTube videos that they always thought might be interesting but never had time to check out. Plus, money, other issues like that. But that's not all. This merging of the levels isn't everything, because there's another side here. There's the positive, and this is all the kind of theological discussion that positive people would have, even if there was a great deal of aggression going forth between the arguments. The people involved were not Bond villains, they were positive people that got angry. We have another side here, and it's the negative. And I think that the negative is being expressed by the medical treatments that we have all been aware of, a lot of us have been subject to, such like that. Because the negative fourth is very, very angry. It has a desire to destroy. And a lot of people in the more positive side of the world as such don't have any conception that these people exist. But imagine the administration and all of the negativity involved in making shots that are very, very bad for people and administering them en masse. That is a fourth density negative thing, I think. Obviously, the order would have come from higher up, but the actual carrying out of the day-to-day tasks, the fact that these people exist, is more of this kind of energy. And this is something that the positive are also becoming aware of in a way they can't really deny. A lot of people, due to the fact that these areas are normally separated, are able to completely ignore the negative. It doesn't exist. But now that we are starting to merge everything as a society, people are going to become aware that these things do exist, and they have been made aware, a lot of people, that these things do exist. And then eventually, as I see it, after it's been revealed, this lot will be taken out, and then we'll move forward. Anyway, thank you for listening.